Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. A few updates for you. I'll be hosting a special 2 to 3 hour masterclass at the beginning of July called Unlocking Union, the Alchemical Marriage. So this is really for anyone that's interested in truly understanding the process of Yeremos Gamos, of understanding the alchemical marriage within ourselves, uniting the forces of Shakti and Shiva within to reach self-actualization, and how that process directly supports us to come into loving, harmonious union with another counterpart. So if you've been on a twin flame journey, if you're interested in truly doing the work within yourself to better yourself, to reach deeper states of awareness within your being, and then be in loving partnership with someone else, I really, really recommend this masterclass. It's only £11 live. I'll be reselling it on my website for more, but the live event will be 2 to 3 hours and it's only £11. So it's an absolute bargain. And I hope to see many of you there. I also want to mention that my most recent YouTube video was taken down because I was a naughty girl and I breached medical misinformation policy here on YouTube, i.e. I didn't speak newspeak and I spoke the truth, which is also being revealed in the mainstream media. But anyway, you're not allowed to point to the truth at all, you know, God forbid. I'm going to be more careful on this platform moving forwards. I'll be using YouTube more as a teaching space, to share tools, to share my perspective and my journey. And I'm slowly beginning to set up a membership space, which is going to include a lot more intense teaching, support, guidance, community, and I'll be able to share some of the more controversial stuff in that space too. So stay tuned for that. So for today's video, let's talk about embodiment. I've called Temple of Akasha the home of embodied spirituality because for me, the path of embodiment has completely transformed my life and experience. I have Kundalini Shakti, the feminine force of creation, to thank for this. And in today's video, I really want to talk about what embodiment is and why for me it's the only true spiritual path that we can take. Everything else is just peacocking. Everything else is just concept or idea. Embodiment means to live the concept, live the principle, live the teaching, live it, be it, breathe it, move it into life. Most mainstream spiritual teachings and communities are unfortunately incredibly ungrounded, as I used to be, and are very much unintegrated. They tend to be focused on a lot of the Neo-Advaita Vedanta teachings. They tend to be focused a lot on non-duality, but from a very unintegrated space. So just be, but actually that just being is a disembodied being. It's not true embodied being. Embodiment we could correlate with being in the body. So to be embodied means to be here, present, and to descend your consciousness into this now moment, using your body, using this vehicle that you've been gifted as the vehicle, the avatar through which you directly experience life and truth. So when we are disembodied, we tend to operate predominantly from the upper primary chakra centers, so from the heart upwards. A lot of ungrounded people in teachings tend to focus on the mind, tend to focus on transcendental teachings and practices, so really trying to almost leave or vilify the human experience. Embodiment is the descent. It's bringing our awareness, our consciousness, the spiritual wealth of awareness that we access through meditation, mindfulness, and getting to know our true selves, and bringing that level of awareness, that level of spaciousness, that level of love, and experiencing it and expressing it through the body. So that actually means being in loving relationship with the body, not vilifying it, not degrading the body and saying that this material world doesn't matter. Those are very old, very archaic, very unintegrated teachings of spirituality that unfortunately many people have attached to, but they do not consider the all, the whole. They're very focused on a very masculine and Vedantic approach, which is not wrong, but if that approach is not tempered with embodiment, it becomes hollow, it becomes completely severed from the heart, it becomes disembodied. So actually our goal is the alchemical marriage. It's to marry our awareness with embodiment, to bring presence into all that we do, and to be fully here, fully alive, fully expressed in our sensual reality and through our sensory experience. What I am observing a lot in the burgeoning spiritual community are teachers and leaders that are guiding others from a very disembodied or a very unintegrated space. These people have the verbiage, they have all the spiritual lingo, they talk the talk, they might look slick, they might appear vulnerable, they might present as or perform well as, the spiritually enlightened or illuminated one. As we become more intuitive and as we become more connected to our truth, we're able to discern and really be vigilant about the true state of consciousness that someone is embodying and living. And so those qualities where the being is not living what they're teaching, they're not walking the walk, they're talking a really good talk, that's becoming increasingly more obvious as we evolve as beings. But nevertheless, our discernment and our vigilance is needed. And the best way to develop discernment, vigilance, and a sense of empowerment is actually to focus on being more embodied. For me, embodiment has absolutely shifted and transformed my life. And in all honesty, it saved me. Before my Kundalini awakening, I was going through a tremendously challenging process with my mental health. I have a schizophrenic father. My early childhood was quite rough. And those early years really seeded in me a deep dissonance and a deep disharmony that manifested later in life in my teenage years and in my 20s as tremendously tumultuous mental health, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, and what I came to realize was actually complex PTSD. And when I had my Kundalini awakening, all of those things intensified. The process was so strong and so intense, and there was so much trauma and so many blocks still in my body that as the Kundalini began to rise, I found it incredibly difficult to stay in my body. I was collecting a lot with my crown chakra. I was often in these very multi-dimensional states, having a very lucid experience of the astral plane and the dimensions beyond this physical dimension, but it was incredibly ungrounded and ungrounding. However, that was just a direct reflection of how disembodied and ungrounded I had been. And so what the process with the Kundalini has done is actually forced embodiment for me. She has been quite a brutal teacher in that she only wants us to actualize truth. She only wants us to be living embodiments and expressions of truth. No masquerading, no performing, no loyalty or allyship to stories or narratives. Can you be in this human experience with your awareness? And can you be fully devoted to your humanity with love and compassion and really embracing the allness of who you are beyond just your humanity? So it's quite a tall order for someone that was very used to being very ungrounded, very dissociated and numbed out from the body, very entrenched in coping mechanisms, sugar, over-exercising, binge eating, drinking, even porn to some degree. Those were the things that I was really engaging in as a means of trying to escape my human experience. And when I initially started my spiritual path, I thought enlightenment was all about escaping the human experience, as so many wounded teachers and teachings are proponents of. But in fact, the opposite is true. We have come into this human experience to move beyond the fear-based conditioning, the traumas, the energetic blocks and stagnation that we've either directly experienced and accumulated or that we've inherited, so that we can live as truly liberated beings. And to me, there is no more important task right now on earth than to focus on our embodiment. Because when we are embodied, we are in our power. When we're embodied, we're connected to truth. When we're embodied, we're fully lucid and connected to the present moment, which is the only place that truth really resides. If you are just accumulating spiritual knowledge, if you are just attending all of the retreats, the satsangs, doing the courses, the trainings, reading the books, but you are not integrating what you're learning, if you're not applying the teachings, they are redundant. It's just noise. It's just a concept. It's just an ideology until it's embodied. When you marry embodiment with your full presence, you connect very directly to the truth of who you are, to your true essence. You are not limited anymore by the stories of the mind or even the emotional, inherited or accumulated energies in the body. You are beyond all of those things. A true spiritual path should help us to become masterful of the mind, should help us to become compassionate but unattached to our emotional experiences, so that we can recognize the dynamism of what it means to be human and marry that dynamism, Shakti, with the unwavering presence and profound spaciousness of our true being, Shiva, the I Am. And so this is the alchemical marriage. It is a marriage of mindset mastery and deep embodied presence so that we can become fully lucid, fully expressed, and fully alive in our allness, free from constraints, free from conditioning, free from stories and archetypes, and fully actualized in both our humanity and our divinity. For me, this is the highest path and calling of our time. With the state humanity is currently in, I feel that the global spiritual invitation right now is not to try and replicate the times of old. The current conditions on earth are demanding that we take a different and more integrated approach to our spirituality. It's no longer feasible to simply want to retreat away from society and reach a state of enlightenment alone in isolation. That is not true integration. While some people may naturally be called to that life, I believe the majority of people on a spiritual path are being invited to recognize that some time alone, some time in their own presence, in their own space and energy is really essential to being a functional and, well-balanced individual. But we are relational beings as humans. And so as we're not here to shun our humanity, and we're actually here to co-create and build a harmonious world together to shift humanity from a state of fear, separation, division, segregation, extraction, parasitic relating, and actually move us into a harmonious, loving, collaborative, considerate and synergetic community as humans. To do that, we actually need to be taking action in the real world. There are new systems and communities that need to be built. Those things require us to be able to take action, to be in our bodies, to be able to be mobilized in our humanity. We're incarnated right now to become fully aware, fully lucid to our spiritual potential, and then to be creators on this earth, to create and contribute towards something meaningful, purposeful, something that's going to reawaken and reignite the true spirit of all life on this planet. It doesn't serve us anymore to be in deep states of contemplation for prolonged periods of time, isolated and away from the world. If every single illuminated being did that on the planet, who would be the people that truly created real change on the planet? I believe those that are spiritually inclined and really are doing the spiritual work are needed as the leaders in their respective fields, whatever that might be. We need heart-centered leaders now. We need people that are willing to build the new structures, build the new communities. We need people that are willing to actualize, to materialize, to bring it into the physical, the things that we're aware of spiritually and energetically. And this is why embodiment is so important right now during our global evolution. My next few videos are going to be focused directly on embodiment. So I'll be speaking to more about how we can actually be embodied, what embodiment looks like, tools, practices, etc. So if this is something that interests you, I really encourage you to stick around and stay tuned for my next few videos. And if you'd like to join me for any upcoming events, courses, or offerings, all of the links that you need are in the description box below. I'm sending you a lot of love, a lot of peace, blessings and gratitude on our ongoing journey together, and I'll see you again soon.